Okay, so I made a brain cake, and yes, it's totally gluten-free because my intestines would riot otherwise. But you can definitely make it with normal flour if your stomach isn't broken like mine. It works either ways. This video is going to show you how I made this brain cake. It's going to be super educational and possibly concerning. It was almost a fail. This was almost a fail, but it wasn't. I'm glad it wasn't. Here are the ingredients. They'll also be in the description below. Feel free to pause here and take a screenshot so that you can follow along too. Alright guys, let's get started. First up, dry ingredients. I'm using this Bob's Red Mill gluten-free 1-to-1 flour because I find it gives me the best results overall with everything. I will link it in the description below, but you can totally use another gluten-free 1-to-1 flour or even regular all-purpose flour if you want. Then you add in your cocoa powder and some baking soda and a little bit of salt. Mix that all up until it looks all nice and chocolatey and you get the baking powder the cocoa powder as evenly distributed as possible so that it's all chocolate. Then in a bigger bowl, we're gonna do our wet ingredients. Start with some granulated sugar and put it in your bowl. Then I realized I forgot to film this part, but use some softened, not melted butter. Cream it with your sugar. Then add in 4 eggs and your vanilla and give that a good mix too. And yes, I am using my teal measuring cups and teal handheld mixer because I know someone's going to ask. They're all linked in my Amazon storefront, which is in my description. So go check that out because everyone always asks me where I get my stuff. Alright, then you're going to add in your milk. Give that a good mix too. And it is going to be really, really wet, but that's what you want. Here's the point where you're going to combine your wet and dry ingredients. Gradually, and I mean gradually, pour the dry ingredients into the wet ingredients. Don't do it all at once or else congratulations, you're going to be covered in a chocolatey cloud and you don't want that. So I did about a third of the dry ingredients, mix it all up, and then another third, mix it all up, and then the last, mix it all up. And it worked very, very well. It should look like a thick, thick chocolate potion. If it doesn't, double check that you didn't forget anything because I've done that before. Anyway, yes, the batter's going to be super, super, super thick, which is why I used a spoon to measure it out into my 2 9-inch round pans. You can use other pans, but I like 2 9-inch round ones because it makes crumbling them easier later. Make sure they are well greased or lined with parchment paper or something so that your cake doesn't stick. Trust me, future you will thank me for this. Bake them until a toothpick comes out completely clean and then let them cool fully. Bake at 350 for 25 to 30-ish minutes. Hi, welcome back. Alright, make sure that your cakes are fully cooled before you put them on the cutting board. Trust me, if you rush this, you will end up with a mushy chocolate puddle and you don't want that. Once they're cool, we're going to carve off that top caramelized layer. You know, the darker crusty part that's not as soft? Here's why. That layer doesn't blend well when you crumble the cake. It stays dry and ruins the smooth cake pop dough texture we're going for. It's not something you really want. You don't want to get little crunchy bits, you know? It'll affect the texture. It's not burnt, it's just the fact that when sugar gets hot, it caramelizes. So we are carving that off. Cut it off, snack on it now, snack on it later, and crumble the soft inside into a big bowl. Now, it's frosting time. I used a tub because I can't make frosting to save my life yet. I'm working on it. I added about half the tub to my crumbled cake mix, and I played with it until it's like a Play-Doh consistency. Have some fun with this. Eat it along the way because it tastes delicious too, you guys. You can add more or less frosting depending on how sticky you want it, but I would recommend anywhere from 1/2 to 3/4 of the tub, which I would assume is probably around half a cup of frosting if you make it all by yourself, which is good for you. It is so fun to play with. Make sure it is well combined and forms like a Play-Doh consistency to where it's not falling apart and not crumbling apart anymore. It should be able to stick together in a ball and kind of feel like clay. You know what I mean? Okay, now here's the fun part, how we make it into the brain shape. I used a brain mold. Mine, I will link it on Amazon below in the description so that you can find it too. Spray it so that your cake doesn't stick because that's not ideal. Press your cake mixture firmly into the mold. Really get it into all the crevices so you get all those brain squiggles in there. Get all the nooks and crannies. And then once it's all pressed down, packed down good, freeze it for 3 to 4 hours until it's firm enough to remove. Luckily, all the cake was able to fit into the brain mold. It made just the perfect amount. This is the part where you realize your freezer is already full and you have to move a bunch of stuff around, but you make it work anyway for the sake of the cake. Once it's frozen, carefully take it out. I used a little butter knife to wiggle it out and create some like air pockets in there so that it would slide right out, and it worked. Try not to ruin your cake at this part. Okay, I had to switch camera angles because my camera is dead. Here's where it gets fun or terrifying. I melted some white chocolate melts with some oil to thin it out and mixed it with a few drops of red food coloring to get that pink brain color. I tried brushing it on with a barbecue brush, but it didn't work out the best. I thought it was going to, but it didn't. Here's where I need an airbrush, a fancy little airbrush for my frosting. Anyway, then my dad swooped in, and he had a really great idea. He just slathered the chocolate on thick and then put it back in the mold before the chocolate hardened, which was a genius move. You can try any other methods to this madness because I think it could potentially work some other ways, but this is the way I did it, and it kind of failed, but I'm glad it didn't. After my dad slathered it on really, really thick, he just put it right back in the brain mold before the chocolate hardened, like so, and then tipped it upside down with the cutting board on top. That way all the chocolate could set and harden and get all the brain cracks and wiggles.
A few moments later.
We also set it upside down in a bowl of ice with the cutting board on top for around 30 minutes, and it came out so much better. Like closer to an actual brain than a chocolatey mess, if you will. I carefully tapped it out and used a butter knife to kind of wiggle it out a little bit, and it did come out pretty easily. Make sure your chocolate is all the way hardened, because if it's not, you will ruin your cake, and that's not fun for anyone. To finish it off, I took a Q-tip and some strawberry syrup to add fake blood. Look at that. Just a little drizzle here and there for that fresh from the lab vibe. You know what I mean? I mean, if you're not even slightly disturbed by your dessert, are you even doing Halloween right? That's the question. Because my little brother, he was like really, really scared to eat it. So, I mean, I don't think it looks that realistic, but hey, it must. Anyway, I went ham with the strawberry syrup. So, if you're planning not to serve it until later, I would recommend saving this part until right before you're going to serve it. That way your cake doesn't get too soggy, especially on the bottom. And there you have it. That's how you make gluten-free or not gluten-free brain cake. It's spooky, it's sweet, it tastes delicious, it's Halloweeny. If you make this, enjoy it. You can tag me. I want to see your brains. Everything I used is linked in my Amazon storefront, which is in my description. And if you liked this, subscribe for more gluten-free baking disasters that somehow turn out delicious. Happy Halloween, and enjoy your brain cakes. Let me know also in the comments what else you want me to make, because I am full of baking ideas and I would love to make more. So if you have any suggestions, let me know. Recipe suggestions, I'm always here. Thank you guys for watching. See you next time.